Today's topic, Steven Crowder. I saw a video he did and wanted to react to it, so this is our response.
Look at this right here. You can clearly see this was, just to be clear, before I've been here before, it was not an indoor-outdoor patio. It was Black Lives Matter riots. People are saying, well, you know what? This is what we have to do because peaceful protests aren't allowed. When Colin Kaepernick peacefully protested, you told him to shut up. No one has a problem with Colin Kaepernick going to a park and taking a knee. People need to be clear. The problem there wasn't with a peaceful protest. The problem there was with a man who was paid to play football hijacking a multi-million-dollar job to make a political statement. And people have the right to vote with their dollar and not support Colin Kaepernick.
Man, if you don't get your whole persona out of here.
Okay, my problem with that. You say he was making a political statement. What is the national anthem at every sports game? Is it not a political statement? Is it not a form of patriotism? So let me get this straight. You're fine with forms of political statements that you like, but the ones that you don't are unacceptable. And you don't see something wrong with someone saying, hey, I feel police brutality is unacceptable. I'm going to do this in a peaceful manner on a public, and people went nuts. All right, people, even veterans, were fine with what he was doing, but everyone else went crazy because they didn't want to see that on their television. And now you ask yourself, why are these riots happening? It's because people didn't want to look at the reality of what's happening in the USA. So when you sit there and you're like, why are you doing this on the television? Do it in a park where no one can see. Well, the whole point of awareness is to put it in places where you can see. The same way, the whole point of putting the national anthem everywhere is to remind you of that sense of patriotism. So if we can accept the national anthem, what is the problem with accepting a knee during the national anthem?
Which he's not hijacking because he's not stopping the game. No, he's just doing it while everybody's standing. That is not what I call hijacking. The cameras don't even have to be on him. So hijacking, yo, bruv, your choice of word is very poor.
Together, we will see it through. All right, that pisses me off. I guess we can go with that. You know, I see people talking about Christians as well. You know, listen, we just need to be peaceful. And you see these police officers in Flint who kneeled. Did you see, by the way, did you see those white guys who kneeled and asked for forgiveness? No. That's not good. But by the way, keep in mind how that is, right? Asking white people, all white people, to kneel and ask for forgiveness. Could you imagine if white people asked all black people to kneel and ask for forgiveness for the cops who were shot last night?
Most of us are not asking that. Nobody cares if you kneel. Most of us don't give a shit. Your forgiveness, all right? Oh my God, I'm so... Nobody cares if you have privilege. Nobody cares about none of that shit. That's not what people are asking for the most part. So for you to strawman this movement as if it's a real problem, stop. It's not the reality of what's going on right now.
It's not the white people, it's the organization of policing. Even if I see a black cop, I'm not good with it. I'm gonna be a bit, because I see a cop.
Because again, some of them were shot by white people. I understand it, but not all white people, certainly not in 2020, are guilty of the sin of slavery. As far as am I going to kneel in a sign of peace to de-escalate? No, I'm not going to kneel and ask for forgiveness for something that I've never done. But I would like to sit down and talk with people. I would like to sit down and hear what the grievances are and what the goal is with this. The First Amendment allows you the right to protest. But that also, it should necessitate petitioning, right? The right to protest and petition. Well, what are they petitioning? Justice. Okay. Derek Chauvin was charged with third-degree murder. They're investigating the other police officers. And by the way, from the top down, from Donald Trump. Is that not justice? What do you need him to be hung from the gallows?
This does look like willful ignorance. That's not what they're asking for. If you think that people are still protesting because of George Floyd, then you aren't listening. And this is what I said in the other video. Everyone wants to flap their gums, but no one's taking the time to really understand the other side. And as a result, all we have is just noise being thrown out. I mean, sure, your fans are going to be happy because they already share your views, so you're preaching to the choir. It's an echo chamber. Very easy to do. Same way SJWs do with themselves. All white people are racist, blah, blah, and they say it amongst themselves, so they feel great. But it's not meaningful in any kind of dialogue. And this is the kind of stuff I dislike. You're asking, what do they want? What is it they're asking for? They're asking for police reform. They're asking for better training. What they see is that systemically, there are a lot of problems with how police officers engage in a lot of stuff. And we're not the only ones saying that. Police officers themselves, a lot of them are agreeing with a lot of this sentiment.
But they cannot say it out loud because they're going to lose their job. One famous cop that got out there, He's not a cop no more.
Yeah.
He said that he wanted to sit down and talk, not with this attitude. You claim you want to sit down and talk and comprehend. You don't. You do not. You have your own ideas and you're closed-minded to that. And you try to disprove the other person. And actually, when that person disproves you wrong, you get pissed off. You know that episode? You know what the fuck I'm talking about. Yeah, he looked like a fool on that one. The point is, you do not want to sit down and listen.
Caught up, whether it be our political views or ego, wanting to maybe relinquish some ground, that we're not willing to concede that the other party may have a point. And people are like, well, officers don't just shoot black people. Okay, great. We're not asking for police brutality to end just against black people. We want it to end, period. There's no black person out there that's like, we want police brutality to end against just blacks, keep killing the whites. Nobody's saying that. So if you really think that police brutality is a problem, then you should have no problem with this movement because it benefits you inherently. I don't understand these counter arguments. There's not a complicated aspect to this. Again, I'll say it for the 10,000th time. I'm not endorsing rioting. I'm not endorsing burning of buildings. Even though in the other video we said we understand it, we never said we endorse it or we're okay with it. But I get frustrated sometimes because like people with these platforms just sit here and they're tone deaf and they act clueless. And I'm like, did you do a Google search?
So all 4 of the officers have now been charged, and people are asking, why do we still need the protest? And I think to myself, do you not realize that the reason why the officers were charged is because people are protesting? Does that not strike you as somehow very insidious that people have to watch traumatic videos online every time a shooting happens? Then that video has to propagate itself and go viral before officers, DAs, law enforcement, everybody gets involved and all of a sudden charges are dropped? Does it not strike you as odd? Do you think I want to watch fucking videos of men being gunned down by police officers unjustly? But if I don't watch it and it doesn't propagate itself, then nothing happens. Why is it that the only time action happens is when I have to click on videos and get outraged? Why does that make any sense? How does that seem to you a system that works? That's why I keep telling people this is not about the 4 men being arrested anymore. This is about a judicial system, a policing system that just seems so dysfunctional. It only takes one cop to write up a report and a citizen gets arrested. But it takes millions of us to scream at the top of our lungs to be like, this is unjust before things move. Same thing with the Ahmaud Arbery video. They had that for a while. They had it for a long time. They didn't care. They didn't move on it. All of a sudden, it gets leaked to the public. And now charges are dropped and people are being charged with murder. I'm like, how does that make sense?
Guys, we don't know how YouTube's going to react to these videos. They've been demonetizing, monetizing things. It's been super confusing for me. So if you want to ensure that this video does well, please hit the like button. It helps us out a lot. Comment, help with all that algorithm stuff. Yeah, we also have a Patreon you can check out. So if you want to see more of us, we have a podcast there.
Do we want to go back to the pre-slavery or during slavery type executions? Well, I don't understand what justice is being demanded. I see all of these requests on Twitter. Well, we have one simple request, that officers stop killing black people, but apparently that's too complicated. What does that even mean? That black officers stop killing, that officers stop killing black? What about white officers? And black officers, sorry, what about black officers who kill white people?
Let me tell you this, Preach said it earlier, but there's none of us that like black officers more than white officers. I don't know where this idea came from. It's police, period.
We've seen Colors. We've seen Boys in the Hood. We've seen all of those movies. We're not with it. A cop is a cop, period.
Same thing with the Asian cop that was standing by and you watched what happened. People chastise him as well. It's not about white cops specifically. Though white cops are the predominant presence in the police force, it doesn't mean that it's just about that. It's about cops, period. No one said, please end white police brutality against... Nobody's saying that. It said police brutality.
You see that one yesterday? The black cop.
Yep.
Black cop who... There was this angry black lady who was punching a white police officer in the face. The white police officer did nothing. You can go find this at TMZ. Then she punched him again, and then a black officer knocked her unconscious. Or as I call it, a happy ending at that point. You know why that officer did that? Because he knew that if that white officer responded to a woman who was pummeling him, he would be the next Derek Chauvin.
You're really good at taking just one example to disprove your point. Just to disprove your point, you take that one example that satisfies your need and that goes with what you're saying. You know damn well that's not what the we're talking about. And yours is going to be instances of people and the citizens going abroad, and that is not what we're talking about, and you know it.
Hold up. There's plenty of footage of black officers punching and pushing black people All right, it's all over the internet. You can find it right now, even during these riots.
Easy.
And they're not turning into the next Derek Chauvin. So where that came from, I have no idea. But I do think that this video was poorly thought out. My honest opinion. And if I'm being also very honest, I actually have a friend who works for Crowder, and he speaks highly of them from an ethical standpoint. Pays his employees on time, very generous, good with work,
Fair.
all that good stuff. And so it disappoints me when I see what you put out publicly, and I'm like, this is not well done. But what I see a lot of people doing is that they mock social justice warriors for not being nuanced, for being ridiculous, and do all that stuff, and then they themselves refuse to see the nuance in other people's positions, right? Like, I can sympathize with somebody who identifies as conservative. I hold some conservative views. You know, when it comes to Second Amendment, when it comes to the idea of being able to own guns, when it comes to strict borders, I get it. But it bothers me that people on the other side are like, nah, these riots, it's all riots. Yeah, Black Lives Matter, it's inherently a terrorist organization. What are you talking about? Do you not recognize that you engage in the exact same rhetoric that you condemn on the other side? Do you not see that?
Listen, I don't even know why you're so mad, because he's doing this on purpose. This guy, he's a smart man. He knows what he's doing. He knows exactly what he's doing.
I didn't say otherwise. But he
Not saying
passes
this-
himself as virtuous.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's
And
why.
And I understand that. He knows what he's doing and why he's doing it. But I'm pretty sure that if we talk to him one-on-one, we're going to be able to rationalize and be like, you know what? He's going to understand. But this...
No. He really believes what he's saying.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think this is an act. He really believes. And it's okay that at least he's saying what he believes. And I hope it's what he believes. Because if he's doing this for...
That's even worse.
That's even worse. I know some people who are doing that.
Yeah.
I know some people who are having some of the dumbest takes I've ever heard.
But it's
why are you guys hurt by the death of like that Officer Tatum dude?
Oof.
He had a video that he put out where he's like,
I get that people are upset with this situation that they saw with the black man that was under the knee of that police officer, and he passed away. But let me say this, man. Let me just say this. I need people to stop being so emotional. If you didn't know that man, you weren't concerned. And I'm just giving my opinion. Take it or leave it. If you weren't concerned about that man when he was alive, I don't think it's important for people to go up and beyond and try to act like that's their boy or something. I'm just keeping it 100. You didn't know that man his whole life. You don't know who that man is. You don't know if they're a good man or a bad man.
like, what? You think when people cry when they watch a movie, it's because they know the person? No. Sometimes it identifies with things that happen. Like, just some dumb takes.
Yeah, absolutely.
But some of it's disingenuous. With this one, I'm like, it's just disappointing because you're engaging in what you claim is bad.
But he treats the whole thing as a joke. It's a joke. It's really a joke. The way he does it, the tone of it, you know, everything is like a joke. He's being very sarcastic about everything he says. So it's just a joke to him.
In Louisville, these men linked arms to protect a police officer who got separated from his squad. Outnumbered and surrounded, you can see the concern on his face, but he's shielded until he can get to safety. This guy was breaking chunks out of a sidewalk in the nation's capital when protesters turned on him and handed him over to the cop.
People work too hard. Too hard. You ain't gonna do it in front of me. These are people who live in public housing. And you just made a melee.
If you guys want to see, we've covered this topic in regards to the riots and all this stuff ad nauseum. So if you can go check our past videos, be sure to do that. And that's about it.
Fuck all.